Hi there, welcome to the Amphibian Press podcast. I'm VS Holmes, and I have some exciting news and a short reading for you guys today. So, first off, Amphibian Press is releasing a special anniversary edition of Smoke and Rain this September, and I'm super excited about it. It's going to have a revamped cover and include some deleted scenes and so forth. So, and before we get into that, if you like these excerpts and author interviews and all these tips and tricks, make sure that you like and subscribe. And you can also check out the podcast on all the mainstream podcast sites as well now. So make sure you head over there and give us a quick review. Thanks. So this scene is from the point of view of the group of Laen who are introduced in the very beginning of this book. And I'm excited to give you guys a little bit more perspective on them. The 30th day of Lumord, 1251. The Fell de Baron, Atherlon. There are campfires in the hills. Leanne's eyes did not move from the flickering on the otherwise dark horizon. Gila settled into the cold rock outcropping beside her. Shepherds? Leanne shook her head. Unless our luck has changed, it's the American. She rose with a groan, pressing a hand to the small of her back. You going to be all right till dawn? Gila smiled and held up a battered lute. I'll be fine. Besides, this ground isn't comfortable enough to let me sleep. Get some rest. Play quietly, all right? Leanne shot a narrowed glare at the horizon. I promise. Leanne picked her way down the slope to the nook between the wind-worn rocks where they made camp. Dark lumps curled around the screened coals. Leanne suspected it was as much for comfort as warmth. A month ago, they numbered 27, their ranks filled with writhing power of warriors and healers. Leanne's gaze lingered on the girl tucked against the belly of a borrowed Sunaman charger. Now only 3 citadel guards, a historian, and a cook were left to escort the girl. If their guards still lived, leagues of bitter mountains and barren grasslands separated them, and an army of American soldiers. Leanne settled in beside the girl's sleeping form. Gentle notes of Myrrel and Winter's chill curled from the hill behind. Head pillowed on the horse's flank, Moira's young face relaxed into a smile. Perhaps a night free of nightmares was worth the risk of Gila's music. Their journey from the citadel of Imala began as an exodus. Now it was a divine mission. She might not be able to control it, but I know what I saw. When the American attacked in Ken, black fog exploded around them. No Laen ever wielded black power. It had to mean something. Now, Leanne's own silver magic curled over her companions, easing aches, filling muscles with strength. The scent of salt and mountain springs drifted, alien in the air. It was the only echo of home that still felt real. I miss home. Moira's silver eyes blinked open, following the invisible path south, as if she could still see the ruined citadel leagues away. I didn't mean to wake you. Leanne did not meet her gaze. That's not home now, and we have leagues to go. You ought to rest. Her thin lips clamped down on the rest of her words. She missed home too. Wind chattered through the dry leaves overhead. On the hill, Gila's music stuttered into silence. Leanne raised her nose to the eddying air. It brought the stench of fresh blood and hot metal. The gods. Nerves sang up her limbs, turning aches into exhausted willpower. War did not make time for grief or compassion. She surged to her feet and shook the others awake. Winds changed. It'll bring our smoke right to them. She glanced at Moira, not thinking. Put out the fire, will you? The girl waved her hand over the sullen coals, brow curled in concentration, then frustration. Finally, she kicked the bucket of drinking water into the fire with an exasperated sigh. How can I bind the world if I can't even extinguish a campfire? You'll learn, I promise. There are teachers, better ones than I. Leanne's voice cut through the soft sounds of the other Laen packing camp. Move! The cover of night would only last so long, and the stark landscape of the Fell de Baron offered little concealment. We have to make Marl-Kes by dawn. Gila jogged down the hill, loot traded for her crossbow. You smell that? Laen glanced at the historian sharply, slicing her hand through the air. Mora was already terrified. Panic would only make their ride more difficult. We'd be dead. She coiled her braid under her cowl and buckled her sword-breaker onto her hip. In the citadel, it never saw use. In the wake of the war reigniting, the weapon bore dents and scratches. Muffled hooves thumped against the hard ground as the others flanked the charger. The creature flicked its ears, unaware he carried the weight of the world in the form of a girl. Go, I'll catch up. Laen watched the Laen disappear into the darkness, pressing against the rising wind. She raised her hands, silver pooling in her palms, twisting tendrils, erasing their footprints, wiping the stagnant stink of wet coals from the air. It was a sorry attempt, but she had to try. She did not know how the god's magic reached across the barrier, splitting the world, but she would know the sickening smell, the heavy, itching feeling anywhere. She nudged her stolen horse into a lope. She missed the desert air, the humid ocean wind whipping over the walls of Amala, and the cry of lemurs in the oasis. Laen was as much a home as the hard, cold ground where they made camp. I miss peace. Behind them, a lieutenant pressed his palm into a fresh hoofprint. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little glimpse into the danger that the Laen face, and I hope that you'll check out the special anniversary edition when it drops in like a month. I'm so excited. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to us and check out the podcast on all the other sites. Thanks.